On this week's episode of the Autohouse podcast, you wouldn't know it, but I do have a little bit of an ego, a little bit of a temper, and the little voice inside me says like, oh man, I just made you like reevaluate your life choices right now. All right, this is the Autohouse podcast. We have Mo Rodriguez, owner of AE86 Preservation Society. What's up? How you doing, Mo?
Oh man, I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm super excited.
So this impromptu podcast, and again, thanks for taking this on at such short notice. But
Any for you, Ezekiel.
But I think after like the third person who has walked into the shop telling me like, dude, have you seen AE86 Preservation Society last post? Or like, what do you think about these seats? And so like after the third person who walked in here, I was like, I got to get the scoop too. So.
Oh man, it's, I expressed it the next day on the next post, about how much I had been dreading posting, a figure and, cementing down a price. I just didn't know how people would take it. And so I've been putting it off, running numbers, kind of having a good idea of where it was going to be. And I'd been dreading it all morning. I told someone I'm going to throw up a price. And, I had been working out in the sun. I was helping someone put an engine in their car. I was trying to do that. And it was hot, been melting my face off. And I came home and I'm like, I'm going to throw this up. And I threw it up and I took a nap because I'm just like, this is freaking me out a little bit. And hands down, most popular, most comments, most likes of any post since the whole thing started. So everybody was incredibly supportive. And I can't say thank you nearly enough to everybody who's been supporting the cause.
Yeah, I totally get what you mean about not wanting to or dreading posting up a physical price, because when I saw that post, I was a little taken aback too. I was like, oh man, he really did it. That was a jump.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've been having people asking me, and for a while I was just like, I'm just going through my numbers. I'm making sure that, I'm not too low and I'm not too high. I want to find a sweet spot, but I also want to make sure the company is able to sustain itself. And so I was putting it off, and I took the plunge. I made it real by putting it out there, and there's been a lot of buzz ever since.
Yeah. So just for you to know a couple of the comments I got. So I think the very first comment was, I would say neutral. It was the person who commented about your Instagram post. That's how I found out about you posted the price. He was like, oh yeah, it's kind of pricey, but at the same time, he's the only one that's doing it. And then the second guy who was actually a customer car he came to pick up, and he was like, dude, that's like an amazing price, like in a good way. That's like an amazing price for like a kit. So for him, that $1,500 was like totally, better than he expected. And then the third comment was not really about the price, but like what am I getting in this kit? What does it come with? Those little details like that. So you could tell there was interest, and then we'll delve into that later too, because I'm sure everyone's curious about the details for this kit that's coming out.
Absolutely. One of the comments that somebody made was, because I wanted to express my feelings on the price of the kits, that like, this is my community, and I don't want to screw over my community. And, I work hard for my money, and I'm sure everyone else does. And I don't take it lightly that, people are even considering giving me some of their money for what I do. And so I wanted to make sure that, everybody knows that I respect, this investment in me and my product. And that's why I felt like I needed to justify. And I just had a feeling like I need to express that. And I hope it didn't come off as like, you guys are a bunch of assholes. You guys don't know how hard I work, nothing like that. But just like, you guys, I'm so thankful. And I want you to know I've thought long and hard about this, and it's not just like on a whim. So I just wanted to put that out there at the same time.
Yeah, and I really hope people can respect that because, I mean, just a couple of things in my mind. First of all, who's crazy enough to do this, right? Like a ultra niche product for a very niche cult car.
I ask myself that every morning when I look in the mirror.
But just kind of like some feedback for you is like I like to, you need to. It's important to like live in the now and pay your bills, but also like it's really important to like dream bigger for the future. So where I'm getting with that is like one of the reoccurring themes we talk about on the podcast is how do we get Toyota to have a classics or a restoration program like Nissan, Mazda, a lot of other big companies are doing. And so like what would be like my dream is like your kits become so popular that it hits Toyota's radar, and then all of a sudden Toyota contacts you and was like, hey, we're thinking of doing reproduction seat covers, why don't you come to Japan and like tell us what you think. It's not out of the realm of impossibility, right?
I mean, I have no idea. I mean, I would take that opportunity in a heartbeat. But I mean, I don't know how the whole structure of Toyota works. Like, I know that there's like, you had a gentleman on the podcast, drawing a blank right now, who works for Toyota as engineer of sorts.
Yeah. Albert, his Instagram's Hi Albie.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I know everybody is by their Instagram handle. And I don't know how looking forward Toyota is at looking at just like the current lineup, the cars that they're making, the cars they're going to be making next year. I mean, do they even look back? I know they have a museum in Japan, but I hope so. I mean, I can't tell you, how many people that are following you and I that may not even drive a current Toyota that's been made in the last 10 years, but are still throwing heaps of money at a car that hasn't been made for almost 35 years. So I sure hope that we're on the radar. I hope all of us are on the radar.
Yeah. And then another common theme throughout the podcast is that in order for not only our cars in our community to exist, grow, and even thrive, is for all of us to come together and do stuff like this, like the podcast, businesses, make new products. So like all these little puzzle pieces can come together to become hopefully like a small blip on Toyota's radar, right?
Absolutely. I 100% agree. I mean, if you keep on waiting for someone else to do it, I don't know if it's ever going to happen.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. Cool. So, but why don't we jump into your product first, because I am just like itching with questions for you. So,
okay.
So,
shoot.
So, product info. So, $1,500. What does $1,500 buy me? And then, do you have what's your product line that you're offering right now?
Okay, so $1,500. First thing I want to clarify. I had a lot of people ask, is that just one seat? If people are okay with paying that for just one seat, I feel sheepish. But no, that is actually getting you two seats for the front and the seat for the back. And that will get you the hog rings that you need to get the job done.
So the seat in the back, that's the seat bottom and the seat tops?
Correct.
Wow, that's amazing, because I say that because I know the seat tops are a different material, like pleather instead of the cloth fabric like the rest of the seats.
Isn't that a shame that the SR5 seats that don't have the vinyl on top last way better than the GTS that has the vinyl on top? I don't know.
It's funny
It's
because
hilarious.
like when they designed the car, I don't think any engineer was like, yes, in 2020 these seat tops won't get eaten by the sun, so they'll be good for the next 40 years.
Yes, and well, and I'm happy to announce that also for those folks who have a minty fresh interior and all they need is the vinyl portions, that is something I'm also open to do as well. So for those people with super clean interiors minus the vinyl portions, that's something we can take care of. So
Besides the rear seat tops, are there any other vinyl portions on the interior that you can think of? And I'm asking you because I haven't had stock seats in a very long time in my own car, so I can't remember.
ah, that's a great question. So for the bucket seats, you have what is called the boxing. So this is actually any portion of the seat bottom that's on the vertical axis that's going up and down. So you're going to have vinyl on the side of there, but since it doesn't really get exposed to too much sunlight, it usually holds up pretty well. And then what I call the bucket seat ears, which are the two portions that come up on the Zenki seats, on the bucket seats. And then on the back seats, there's a strip of vinyl, again, on the vertical surface. The place where you put your butt, right there underneath your knees, is a little piece of vinyl. And then, of course, the vinyl headrest backs that are always rotten and look terrible. So yeah, that's where it's at.
So you also offer vinyl for the headrest portion itself, that square thing that you can adjust up and down?
So not currently, and the reason for that is usually they hold up pretty well.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Okay.
so the actual that square piece is made of a different material. It's pretty resilient. So I haven't really seen very many of them that are damaged. The only thing I can think of is if at some point we might need to cover the maroon ones that change color over time.
Mm.
But at the time, it's going to be the main parts that are really damaged is what we're going to be offering up first at first.
What colors do you offer for in your interior kits?
So currently, I'm doing a deep maroon and red for the Zenki folks, the dark gray and light gray combination for Zenki. And I've been getting quite a few requests for a blue combination. So I'm going to be looking further into that. As far as the kooky seats, somebody threw up a post of some kooky seats I got done in California, and I believe you tagged me in them. I knew the exact fabric as soon as I saw them. I know exactly which fabric that is, which is what we're going to be offering, which is kind of a like a titanium dark gray combination with a and kind of a dark blue gray as well. So the first runs are going to be all Zenki for the first little while.
You know what? Speaking of seat covers, I just remembered. So that second customer that said the 1,500 was a good price, I remember why he said that. It's because he went to a local upholstery shop and got quoted 1,500 just to make seat covers for the front seats. So, yeah.
So the labor is all over the place depending on what part of the country you're in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I wanted to make sure that I was averaging out, Bozeman, Montana, and San Diego, California. Try and find that happy medium, but also, I don't have to deal with all of the regular upholstery shops. If you bring something in, there's kind of this unspoken agreement that it's like, I'm going to bring something in and you have to recover it, whether it's a tractor seat or, grandma's couch. A lot of upholstery shops will take anything. And for me, I'm doing one thing. I'm doing Corolla seats, and that's it. And so I think that helps me streamline my processes and makes things a little bit smoother for me. So that's I think that's how I can hit that $1,500 mark.
Mm. What else can you tell us about these seats? Because again, I think in our last episode, we talked about you are a classically trained upholstery guy, like you apprenticed doing upholstery, and then I don't know anything about upholstery. So what else can you tell us about these seats?
Uh, Absolutely. So when I can tell you one of the things that I get a lot of questions about, and people say, hey, the foam on the back seats, am I going to have to get that completely redone? How bad are things degraded? One of the things that a lot of folks don't know is during the sewing process, most companies will use a combination of quarter-inch upholstery foam and half-inch upholstery foam, and they will actually attach that physically with a combination of adhesive and thread. They will bind fabric and foam together. And so there's a little bit of buffer between the actual structural foam of the seat and the fabric that's touching you. There's a little bit of a buffer. And so sometimes when you see a lot of times in like older BMWs, older Volkswagen, sometimes you'll come across this where you see this phenomenon where it looks like a giant tube sock put on like a baby's foot. Like you see this really loose seat cover. And a lot of what happens there is that foam that's attached to the fabric has degraded over time.
Oh,
And
okay.
so it just falls apart. And so that buffer's gone. And so suddenly you see this really loose bit. You see the pleats are looking really flat and they don't pop, they don't stick out. The crumbs don't get trapped there anymore. They're just, the crumbs are going everywhere. Um, so yeah, that's one of the big things that a lot of folks don't know. So just a new cover with new foam will really add a lot of comfort and a lot of support in in an old seat. But in the future, uh, foam is something that I hope to produce as well. So an entire foam kit, kind of like you can do with an old Mustang or an old Dodge Charger or Challenger or something like that. But yeah, so as far as upholstery goes, it's kind of an old, it's kind of like you said, classical as far as training goes. A lot of it is passed down from an older generation to a younger generation. And what also comes along with that is all of the bad habits and all the good habits that come from one upholsterer to an apprentice. And I don't think anybody really does the same thing just like another upholsterer. And so one thing I try and pride myself in, and I try really hard to do, is get rid of the bad habits that I might have learned and just look for the best and most modern way to do things, to be more consistent, to be more, I think that's the main one, just to be consistent so that, every seat that comes out is going to be as close to the last one or the next one as possible.
One thing I wanted to bring up is how worth it is to keep the factory GTS seats. And besides the nostalgia, they're one of my favorite seats just because there's so much adjustment for being an 80s seat.
Absolutely. And I can tell you from being into other seats and working on other seats and taking apart other seats, Toyota really did a number on these. They did some very strange choices. And a lot of it, I think, I think a lot of it had to do with the adjustment. For example, most modern seats, you hop into your daily driver or your grandma's car or your mom's car, the back seat the back portion that touches your back it's one piece of material. It's all sewn together. Whereas the Corolla seats, they're a whole different ballgame. They've got the actual back portion where your spine, excuse me, is. Then you have the bolsters, which are separate pieces, and that allows for that adjustment on the side knob. And then to top it off, you've got like this 3-piece headrest setup, and then you've got this clamshell that goes around the back. And all of that is like completely different from most seats that you ever see or come across. And so they're very unique. And I think that's where the charm lies. They really went above and beyond to make things a little bit different. And I respect them for that.
Yeah, so just to go over some of the adjustments, there's leg bolsters that'll adjust. There's side bolsters that'll adjust. There's a Reebok air pump, so you can pump up your seats. And then also the headrest can go up and down. The biggest
Absolutely.
the biggest thing for me, personal experience, I had my Corolla and my Mark IV Supra at the same time. And when I sat in my Supra, I was like, wow, these seats are a piece of crap compared to the Corolla. Because my Supra seats, all they did was forward, back, and recline. And it's funny because the headrests look like they go up and down, but they actually don't.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Like, because I think I wanted to put them up, and like I had to find out the hard way. Like, yeah, they're non-adjustable headrests, so people mod them so you can adjust.
Dude, that is insane.
In Toyota's flagship car, right?
Yeah, they're like, drivers really aren't that concerned about adjustment. They just don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fascinating choice. So I learned little good quirks about these seats. Every week I come across something that's just like, I'm not sure why they did this, but whatever. We'll roll with it.
So why don't we run down the list of some of your talking points? So first of all, happy early 8/6 day. It's 8/5 today.
Yes.
So
to all those SR5 owners.
Oh man.
Happy 8/5. I stole that. I can't take credit for that. I'm so sorry.
So 8/6 announcement of waitlist. What is that?
So I had one person, one of the first people that commented said, when you start a waitlist, some of us don't hop on Instagram like 3 or 4 times a day. Give us a heads up. So by the time this podcast drops, the time's already passed. But on 8/6 day, which somebody had to help me, I asked, what would be a good day? And somebody's like, 8/6 day. And I'm like, I don't even know if I should be in this business if I miss something that obvious. But so on 8/6 day, which is tomorrow, I'm going to be sending out a date and time when the waitlist will be open. And so people will send me an email, and that way I can keep track of the time, exactly when people have submitted their waitlist time. And it'll be a % deposit just to make sure that people are serious, so I can plan ahead of time, and away we go.
Website launch. Have you launched your website already?
Not yet. That's happening this week. So, when you do everything yourself, you have to kind of schedule things. So there's not going to be anything terribly crazy or anything amazing to see on the website other than, hey, we're here officially. These are ways to get a hold of us. If you need to do a search, hopefully my website pops up if somebody types in Corolla seats or AE86 seats, just to get that ball rolling. And yeah, so there's a legitimate way to take money as well. That's going to be a good thing. So, I don't have to give people my middle school PayPal account for them to send me money. Yes, so that's where things are progressing. We're going in a good direction.
One thing I'm really glad to see you do was starting the YouTube. That was really good to see.
So great story. So I did my first sale. It was kind of under the radar. I had a customer reach out to me and had some seat bottoms for his GTS seats. That everything else is in pretty good shape, but the seat bottoms were looking pretty rough. And I'm like, man, I can't have you riding around like that. So I said, I can squeeze you in. Let's do this really quick. And FedEx said, oh yeah, the seats will be landing Tuesday. And I'm like, okay, I've got the weekend to edit this video so this guy's not flying solo. And he shoots me a text message on Friday and he's like, hey man, my seats showed up. And I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I got to get on this like now style. And so I fumbled my way through iMovie and put something up. And I think I've been getting a lot of traffic from YouTube, which blew me away.
Yeah, definitely. We've talked about it before, but I strongly believe as a business, YouTube is where you're going to win.
It blew me away.
Yeah. Can we, only because I'm so excited for you making videos and posting them on YouTube, can we expect any future content? Like, what sort of content do you expect to put on the YouTube channel?
Great question. So the bare bones, like the first things that are going to go up are videos for the do-it-themselvers, like the people that want to install these kits themselves, which I highly encourage you to do. If you don't have time, totally understand it. If you want to take it to a local upholstery shop and get them installed, my feelings won't be hurt. But I want people to have the tools necessary to install seat covers if they want to. So those are the first things going up. They're going to be videos on how to break down a seat to the bare frame. If somebody wants to powder coat their frame and do like a total restoration on them, I want people to have that. So that footage has already been filmed and it's just waiting on editing. And then it will also cover the actual installation of a new cover. And it will go through all the tips and tricks that I've picked up on working on these seats and stuff that I learned in working in the industry. So that's what the base content's going to be. And then everything else is going to just be, me doing what I do. And that's, working on Corolla seats, sewing, trial and error, making gadgets and gizmos that make the job of making seats easier. And that's really what I have enjoyed most about this project. It's not necessarily sewing seats, but all of the streamlining of the process I've really enjoyed. Just the little things from wire benders to a wire straightening jig so that I can make listing wire. Finding out ways to sew straight lines has kind of been the real joy of doing this project so far. But yeah, that's what you can look forward to seeing on the YouTube channel.
Backtracking a little bit, when you said tear down to the bare frame, that reminded me again the durability of these seats, because I'm used to a bunch of modern German cars with the seat frames breaking. So like, like only the right bolster will move now, or only like the left leg will move now. So your seat's funky, or, parts of the seat breaking out from the seat rail, which is totally not the case for Corolla. In fact, the sheet metal itself will break before the seat itself has an issue.
That has been my exact same experience. I'm blown away. Especially because they didn't put any protective coating on them. They didn't ever expected or anticipated anybody to ever see the inside of these frames. And so they're just bare metal. And no rust issues. I'm blown away.
Is that right? Like all the seat, including where you bolt to the floor, is that all unpainted bare metal?
Yeah, with the exception of a couple of spots where, if you are looking at the right angle, you could possibly see a piece of a metal frame. They painted a little 3 to 4 inch section on a GTS seat that just in case you might see the frame, they wanted to make sure that looked good. But everything else is just bare metal. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
So going back down our list, closing down Facebook ? What's up with that?
Oh man, so funny story. I put up a post on Facebook just saying, hey guys, I'm going to be closing down the Facebook page. I had been having an issue with receiving messages. Like it seemed like I was getting messages late or not at all, or finding them months later. So if anybody sent me a message through Facebook, I apologize if I missed it. It was not my intent. But I was struggling so much with the Facebook, I wasn't getting a lot of interaction happening there. I'd post something up and I'd get a handful of likes. And so I threw up a post and I was like, hey guys, I'm going to be shutting down the Facebook account. If you want to see what I'm up to, go check me out on Instagram. That's where, all the magic's happening. And then after the YouTube video went up, I started getting all these people contacting me through Facebook and people liking and following the page. So I don't think I can shut it down anymore. I guess that's good news. So sorry if I psyched everyone out shutting down the Facebook page, but I think it'll stay up a little longer.
Yeah, personal anecdote just from me starting all these platforms one by one, right? Because just to give you a little history on the platforms I started with the Autohouse. So Autohouse started with just an Instagram. I made a Facebook page after that, then a
Mhm.
website, then the podcast, and then finally YouTube was last. And that makes it,
Really?
yeah, that makes it difficult because that means, I forgot how many things I just listed, but that means there's like 5 destinations where you can contact me. But
Hmm.
one really important thing to note is that you can't look at all 5 destinations as, how do you say it? In each of these 5 destinations, there's a different group of people, and that's what's important.
Mm.
Like for a lot of people, a lot of big people I talked to with a big Instagram following, they said, "Oh yeah, in the beginning when I thought I would start a YouTube channel, I thought everyone from Instagram would just follow me over to YouTube, which is completely not the case. There's people for, those guys and for me as personal experience like have never ever heard of me and then found me fresh straight from YouTube, and that goes with every single platform.
Huh.
Like I for sure I know every time I release the podcast there's a couple people who the only way they participate is through Facebook. They don't have an Instagram, and they may not watch me on YouTube. The only place I thinking of 2 people in particular always like engage with my posts on solely Facebook.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's an eye opener.
Yeah. So as clunky as it is, I would still, I mean, just personal advice, I would still leave all those avenues open for yourself. So keep the Facebook open. Yeah, it's gonna be tough because you'll have to tell people like, hey, like this is my best method of contact. Like I'm having a clunky time with Facebook.
Mm.
But I mean, that's just like the growing pains of it, right?
Right. Well, I guess the question is, and I'm sure everyone else listening to this is wondering, will we see an Autohouse TikTok channel anytime soon?
Oh no, 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 no. No, none of that. No Snapchat, no TikTok. I got enough on my plate as
I
is.
I don't. You're kind of going back on what you just said. I don't know how I feel about it,
What do you let's tease into this a little bit. So why do you think Autohouse should have a TikTok?
dude. According to what you just said, there's a demographic that is completely not uh, being acknowledged on the TikTok platform.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, it might go away soon. It might be banned from the United States. Who knows? But I mean, I certainly don't want to create a TikTok account for my business. But I mean, I guess if there's people out there, I got to do it, right?
You know what? After quickly thinking about it, you're absolutely right. I need to like eat my own words. I should explore every possibility, and you're absolutely right.
I mean, maybe just do one of the dances, throw it up there, and see what happens.
I'll give it some more thought. I'll give you credit. I'll give it some more thought. I will genuinely sleep on it and give it some more thought.
All right, all right, sounds good.
so so next thing on your list, the Instagram. What's new or what's coming up for the Instagram?
Oh man, Instagram. Instagram is still kind of the bread and butter. I like it because it's not a whole lot of clutter, and it's the messages always seem to get to me, and so yeah, that's I guess I just wanted to just point out that's still a great way to get a hold of me. I do have a Gmail account now. It's AE86 PS for Preservation Society. So there's going to be a few times where I refer to things as the APS, just because I know the formal name is a mouthful. So, but yeah, still follow me on Instagram. That's pretty much where I spend a lot of time.
Fabric selection. I can't remember if in our last episode or just us talking personally we talked about fabric selection, but knowing from our previous conversations, I know you were extremely picky about fabric selection. Almost like for me, it was like this is too picky. But go ahead.
Yes, so I have done the legwork and I have searched out the four corners of the world to try and see what is even out there. And I feel very confident that right now I've got the best color selection and texture for Zenki seats that I could possibly find. So I am happy to say that I am moving forward. I have material for both of them. So for both the dark gray, light gray, and deep maroon and red combinations. So I am relieved to say that it's been weighing on me.
We already talked a little bit about it, but your first sale, that was your first sale, right? Did someone did someone like ship their seats to you? How did that happen?
So I sent the seat covers to him. I don't know if he wants to remain nameless or not. I don't know, but I will in just to be safe, privacy, no names. But yeah, so I sent them out with a set of hog ring pliers and some hog rings, and I sent him a YouTube link, and I said, of course, if you get stuck, let me know. But I also want to see, how much help is needed beyond the video, so that people again are equipped with the tools they need to get the job done. And yeah, it was a smooth transaction. I set up a FedEx account and did everything, really put my feet to the fire to get some things in order so that I can get ready to move forward for full kits. So yeah, it was just 2 seat bottoms, but it certainly covered the material and paid for some of the website hosting and all that fun stuff. So it was great. It was I really appreciate his willingness to be willing to be a guinea pig. So you know who you are.
So talk about some of the shipping options you have. What if I live in California, Canada, or Zimbabwe? Talk about some of your shipping options for us.
As far as shipping goes, if you're willing to pay for the shipping, I can't see any reason why I wouldn't ship to you. I had someone reach out, I believe, from Ireland a couple days ago, and it's like I'm not opposed to it. I'll ship there, no worries.
Oh, Ireland's the spot. Corolla AE86 Corolla. I don't know if you listened to the DMAC episode already, but
I did.
yeah, AE86 Corolla is, or they call them twin cams. They're in the Irishman's blood over there. So yeah, Corolla. Flows is in Ireland. So.
Oh really? I don't know why, but I thought they were in England. I guess I didn't really look into it or think about it. But they're in Ireland. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so I am working. I do need to talk to my FedEx person and just to see if it's a possibility of shipping entire seats in a reasonable manner. I don't know if it's possible. There is a little bit of risk involved. Some of these plastic pieces on our seats are, not the strongest bits, but it's something I'll look into. But if you're in the Salt Lake area, I'd be happy to discuss installing them for you if you're in that area. So.
One of the last things on your list, Grant Donaldson Celica seats. What is that, and who's Grant Donaldson?
So, Grant Donaldson, I cannot speak highly enough about this gentleman. This guy has been single-handedly making seat covers for the first generation Celicas. He has no internet presence whatsoever other than a email account. And he has been doing God's work in the Celica world for quite some time now. And he was gracious enough to kind of talk to me about, what it's like making seat covers for a particular vehicle. And he was a wealth of information. I think he's based out of New Zealand.
Oh, wow.
And I mean, his quality and his expertise can be, as a testament to that, he has something like a 2-year waiting list.
Oh my God! Wow.
So, I mean, he's just doing his thing and cranking them out as he can, and yeah, it's just doing a great job. So, if you guys any of you guys are in the first gen Celica world, look him up. And yeah, great gentleman, very helpful. Yeah, great source.
How did you find out about Grant Donaldson?
So I have a 77 Celica. I've got a coupe, and so I've been a part of a couple of Facebook pages dedicated to the first gen Celicas. And somebody just, I'd seen people post up a few times about these beautiful Celica seats that look really tasteful, really well done. Couple of aesthetic liberties taken that just look great. And I was like, man, who is this guy? And how can I get a hold of him? I want to pick his brain. And just a really, really nice guy. Was really generous with his time. And yeah, can't say enough about him.
Did you know I used to have a first gen Celica?
I do recall, yes, you had an hatchback, didn't you?
Yeah, 3-door liftback 76.
Yeah.
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 So
And
a couple things on my mind is those seats aren't that easy because they're like pleather or vinyl, the whole seat, at least in mine were.
mm-hmm.
And then I know the back seat bottoms were a woven leather or pleather or vinyl too, which I think adds to the complexity of those seats.
Yes, and anytime you introduce any small holes or perforations to the design, you also add a little bit of weakness to them. So it wasn't uncommon for those to look a little ragged, especially in the driver's seat.
Yeah.
That was the first thing to do. But yeah, all vinyl.
Wasn't there stuff embossed in the seats too? I remember like the rear 3/4, there was the Celica Dragon embossed, but I can't remember if on the seats themselves there were stuff that's embossed on them.
So they weren't on mine. That being said, there were a few other years that they might have done it on, but we always joked about it in the early Celica community that it was the swan. It was the Celica swan because it looked like a swan.
Oh,
but yeah, it is a dragon. I found out later.
Oh man, so my MR2 customers, the AW11 customers, I think one guy was like, "Yeah, man, you see this? I have the screaming chicken badge."
Oh, those MR2 guys.
So I see you have a couple of talking points for me, but is there anything else we're missing that you want to talk about your product launch, your company, your seats before we get into questions you had for me?
The only thing I will say is, so currently, this is my my side job. The 86 or the APS is my side gig. So I do have a full-time job on top of this. I do have a wife and a dog that like to see me every once in a while. So I can already say thank you guys for being patient, especially you guys following from the beginning. If things manifest themselves in a way where I can do this full time, I certainly hope to get those turnaround times down a way quicker than they will be in the first chunk. But I am working on 2 sets of red and maroon, and as soon as those get done, I'm going to do another couple of grays, and then we'll address this at a later time as far as turnaround times. But yes, thank you for the patience. I hope you'll give me a little bit more as I transition more into the production setting. But I can't say thank you enough to you, Ezekiel, for getting me out there, and for all the followers on the Instagram and Facebook pages. Can't say enough.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, man. I think I told you before, we're all individual pieces of this like grand Corolla culture and anything puzzle. And I mean, the only way we're all gonna do it is by sticking together and helping each other out.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how we've been doing it. I mean, since I can remember back in Club 4AG days. I mean, it was all about, hey, who do you know that has this part, so I can get my car up and going.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it's always been, and I hope it continues that way.
Yeah, that actually happened to me not too long ago. So yeah, totally know what you're talking about.
So I had a couple of questions if you got time for it.
Yeah, let's do it. Absolutely.
I know you are one of the busiest guys I know. So I wanted to say I am so excited about the vintage air setup you're working on. I don't know if it's the extra pounds that I've added on or the fact that I'm getting older or maybe it's global warming, but the idea of really cool air conditioning is on like the number one list for my car. So thank you. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, well, um, well, I appreciate it, man. Man, how do I say it? Oh, it's sore subject is not the most correct way to put it, but like I'm really thankful to have this opportunity to do it. I'm thankful for everyone's support along the way, including yours. The project's not done, by the way. I'm still going. So, and
Hey, that's
I'm
all right.
yeah, yeah. And have you seen the last part of the video yet? I think part 6.
Yes, that's all that goes to one of my next questions. Is that a shock dog that I saw in the passenger seat?
Yeah, so that's Grant's sister's dog. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, because they don't want to leave that dog, just like home alone while everyone's at work. So the Luna is the dog's name. So yeah, Luna will hang out here more often than not. So
Awesome. Yeah, I saw the 6th chapter. It seemed to be doing its job, right? And it's in the shakedown stage.
yeah, so Stephen Van is a Battle Garage employee now. He's been on the podcast a handful of times before.
Hmm.
He volunteered his car for me to dissect and start the vintage air project on. So yeah, the system's up and running. All the vents work. Heat and cold, or I should say heat and AC work in that car. And yeah, he's
Awesome.
just driving it around and stress testing it. I told him the very first thing I did when I took the car out was like go on the highway and ring it out to make sure like if I wanted to fail, I wanted to fail on me and not when he is daily driving the car, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Steve, the system works. Everything works in it. Nothing's leaking. Knock on wood. Nothing exploded yet. Belt didn't
Awesome.
fly through the hood. And Steven's stress testing it. I know I've gotten questions like how soon until there's a kit for sale. So just to bring
You won't get.
oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say you won't get that question from me.
Oh.
It's done. It's done when it's done. I understand.
So yeah, just to bring you and everyone else, all the listeners up to speed on where I'm at. So thank you, Mr. JSP John, graciously just volunteered to print out our prototype AC compressor bracket. So he printed that out, and where we're at, we need to test fit that bracket and a compressor on another car to make sure that it's basically good to go. The belt alignment's okay. All the bolts and everything line up. And then once that's okay, then we'll do like one final revision on the bracket. The guy who helped me design it says like he wants to make some revisions so like it's easier to manufacture.
Oh, yeah.
Easier to manufacture, so probably make it 2-piece because otherwise it'd be a gigantic block of aluminum. So yeah, there's a couple more steps left in that. And then I don't know if you saw in the video, but like I basically only need 2 outlets out of that main Gen 2 compact mini unit. I only need 2 outlets, but there's 5 outlets on that thing. So
Oh man.
yeah, so what I need to do is, again, from scratch, make 2 different manifolds. So one manifold that connects the 2 defrost vents into one, and then and then another manifold that takes those 3 like face and like the face vents, and so 3 into 1 exit. So I need to still design and make 2 manifolds. So because there's like
Okay.
there's like physically not enough real estate under there to run 5 separate hoses.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. Especially the accordion style hoses.
exactly. So
Gotcha.
so I have a interim workaround for Steven. Like Vintage Air has a couple universal adapters to like so you can simplify or reroute the hose routing, but that's gonna be in the interim. So before I have a comprehensive AE86 Vintage Air kit for sale to the public just to like ship out, I want to at least install them on at least 2 cars first. And that's with all the stuff we talked about, like the production AC compressor bracket and then also the manifolds. And then I think that's where I'll be happy with like, okay, we can start thinking about getting a building a kit together for like retail sales. So, shipping out something like you're doing, I can ship it out to someone, make a YouTube video, and they can either install it themselves or, if they want to bring it to a shop has instructions so that they can install this kit as well.
Awesome. That sounds great, man. I'm super excited.
Oh, and then kind of the going back to why is a sore subject, man. Last month was rough, man. The end of June to the start of July was rough because, I mean, for the podcast listeners or like people who are not really familiar, like the Autohouse is a actual business. Like I work on cars to pay the bills, so so I basically had to sacrifice 4 weeks of doing customer work to essentially
Oh, wow.
take a gamble and build up this vintage air kit. So the added stress of everything else I do, plus the uncertainty of like, yeah, I'm gonna take a gamble this 4 weeks. Who knows how long it's gonna extend out? So every little problem I had that I had to think my way through was amplified by like, oh shit, like how long is it gonna take to figure out this problem, or when am I gonna have a solution? Or same thing, that 3D printing that bracket is like the first three, we tried 3 times to print that locally and all 3 attempts failed, and that was just amplified like goddamn.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So not only is it hot and you're sweating from the actual ambient temperature, there's also the sweating and of the stress that comes along with research and development.
Yeah, not to mention it's not exactly comfortable to crawl around on my back under the dash for the next 8 hours of the day. Yeah, that was especially
Oh,
enjoyable, right? Totally
oh, I can
sarcastic.
only imagine. Oh, you got to be a contortionist to do it.
Yeah.
Everything they tell you not to do with your back, you've got to do to get underneath the dash.
Yeah, absolutely mandatory. You have to hurt yourself for this. No, no, don't,
Oh.
not really.
Oh,
But yeah, that kit's coming along well. I have a Vintage Air sells what they call a mock-up unit. So it's
okay.
basically like the main HVAC unit, but with no guts in it, so that you can mock it up in the car. And
Oh,
I have one on order so that I can have someone else build a manifold for it. It's funny. I know, like talking with Grant, because Grant from Battle Garage is really excited about this kit too. I told him like, hey man, someone much smarter than me should actually be doing all this stuff. But I mean, one like vote of confidence for him was like, yeah, man, there's a lot of people much smarter than you that could be doing this, but a lot of times those guys end up not finishing the project.
ooh, yeah. I believe it. Why do you think that is?
Tough call. Man, I know I'm gonna disrespect a lot of people, but tough call.
Is it
There's
because
like
they're the creative type?
we're like a lot of engineers. There's these like big grandiose ideas, but they become so grandiose and like require so much complexity that projects end up not getting finished. I think we can all relate
Oh,
to that one.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, I hope you didn't lose any engineer listeners.
Oh, so sorry, engineer listeners.
We love you.
Yeah,
We need you. We need engineers in the world.
yeah. So another thing you had for me, expectations for the upcoming 822 track day, which is coming uncomfortably closer.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a business owner, that I know most hobbyists with the track day, track preps, hopefully, a couple of days ahead of time. But I imagine you don't have the luxury of working on your car whenever you feel like it. Yeah, tell me about the track day. I'm all ears.
Jeez, I forgot why we even chose that day, but there was I can't remember now, but there was a specific reason we chose that day. I know for sure Laguna Seca because Laguna is the closest track to us in the Bay Area. And I think that day just ended up lining up for all of us. So Grant's going to
Nice.
be bringing his Corolla. I'm going to be bringing mine. And then Chris Van is going to be the number three who's driving on track with us. And I just want to say as a cliff note or a side note, it's always disappointing. Like for me, it's always disappointing and kind of like a heartache or a gut punch. Like throughout the year, as the year goes on, we'll tell like customers or local Corolla people that like, hey, we plan to do like an all Corolla track day, or like we plan to bring our cars out more often. And every time I feel like unfortunately people are like, oh yeah, I'm so down, I'm gonna do it. And then every single year, this is probably the at least the third year we've done this, and it's always been the same time, and it always ends up the same three or four people. So
Really?
yeah, so I would just say like these tracks aren't going to be around forever. Your car, your free time's not going to be around forever. Like all this stuff is finite. Like enjoy your car right now. If you have this opportunity, I always tell people who invite me on track days, like, yeah, get one more Corolla out there and I'll go out there too. So like, all these opportunities are all finite. So, take advantage of, enjoying your Corolla, enjoying these tracks. Enjoy your youth while you can, even if you're an old guy, enjoy your youth.
Well, I can't think of a better socially distancing, responsible way to get out. I mean, you guys in California have been locked down for a lot longer than a lot of us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can just stay in your car the whole time and have a great time. Get out there.
But yeah, the why I say it's coming uncomfortably close is because we have my car and Grant's car are two big headaches at the moment, just because there's so much to do before that 822 day. And then again, both me and Grant, it's essentially sacrificing our Saturday to come here to work on our own car. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, I can. I get that. What's the phrase? The cobbler's children go without shoes.
Oh
Is
man.
that is that a fitting description?
No, that's exactly it. I mean, Grant has said it more than once. He was like, yeah, when I started BG, it was to make some side money to go to track events more, but then it ended up opposite, where BG takes up all his time and he goes to the track hopefully once a
Oh,
year, right?
oh man. Hey, if it makes you feel better, my interior of my car is pretty ratty, but I've got some nice kits that aren't ratty. They're not going to be going in my car, but hey, I get it.
So one interesting question that you have written down for me: ever retire the Corolla?
This is what I've wondered. I mean, there's gotta be. I mean, I've heard you say it a lot of times that it seems that the market is turning and transitioning to more of a collector's sort of thing. And I mean, would you ever consider turning the Autohouse track car back into a comfortable cruiser?
I said I was going to at one point so last year so 2 years ago, I planned to buy an FRS so I could run time attack we have 86 Drive Challenge here
Mm.
in California, which is a all FRS BRZ specific like club series for time attack. So when I made that decision to buy an FRS and do that, I said, okay, And then I just came off of crashing my Corolla and spending multi thousands on getting it fixed again because I had a hard
Oh,
crash. So those two combined, I was like, okay, I'm gonna retire the Corolla from track duty. I mean, it made sense, right? I had a full time track car, but things kind of shifted where I'm not sure if you know my FRS got totaled because someone did a burnout in the street and destroyed my car when it was
uh,
parked. Yeah, so that was the end of the FRS and end of my racing career.
oh no.
And you know, when that happened, I was still working full time. So now working running the Autohouse full time, I feel much more attached to the cars, the people, the culture. Um,
Mm,
that now it's like, like for example, I drove my car today. Like I try to walk my dog in the morning, and on the walk, I was thinking like it's such a nice day. It's ridiculous that I don't drive this car more often. And I thought about that for like future track days too. It's like I don't have a dedicated track car anymore, and it's like ridiculous that I'm not, enjoying the car as as I want to enjoy it, right? Because to be fair,
right.
like not every Corolla, I don't recommend like if you have a Corolla and you're not taking it out to performance driving events, that's okay because that may not be how you want to enjoy your car. Corollas make if you had a fully loaded Corolla, man, that's a great daily driver.
Mm,
But for me personally, to do high performance driving events and to, my favorite thing is to put higher horsepower, higher dollar cars to shame on track. I mean, that's where I get my biggest joy.
that's see, and I think that's the great thing about these cars is that I enjoy my Corolla a lot, and it's never been to a track day. It's never been to an autocross event. It's never been drifting. And realistically, it might never do any of those. But I still love my car. And everybody loves their car for a different purpose, and that's totally all right. There's no wrong way to enjoy a Corolla. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I would say so. They're like each owner has their own way to enjoy their car, and you absolutely have that right. No one can tell you like, oh, you should, you're putting miles on the car. Oh, you don't track your car. Like no one has the right to tell you that, man. It's your car. Enjoy it how you want to.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if that's out on the track, humiliating, modern cars with AC, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, I what's it called? Yeah, I mean, it's funny you like people you wouldn't know it, but I do have a little bit of an ego, a little bit of a temper, and like definitely on track. Like I'll pass like a much, quotes a much more capable car, much more expensive car, and the little voice inside me says like, oh man, I just made you like reevaluate your life choices right now.
What if that person goes home and cries at night, Ezekiel?
No, no, no. He'll probably
He'll
see.
he'll wipe his tears with his $100 bills, just like, oh man.
If only we can only dream. So yeah, man, I hate to cut it short, but I do have to get back and get with the team. Is there
Absolutely.
is there any last topics we can talk about to help you promote AE86 PS, any of your product, anything else you want to talk about? Any last comments?
Man, if anything else is just another thank you. Thank you to everybody who's been following me, everybody with the words of encouragement. I can't say enough. I was very, very humbled a couple of days ago when I posted the price. Just humbled, just looking back at the time spent doing it and just people coming out of the woodworks and showing support. Can't say enough. I'm really grateful that you guys have put trust and encouragement in my direction. Just can't say enough. Thank you.
Yeah, well said, man. Well said. So before I let you go, make sure, can you shout out your social, your website, shout out your email again? So how can people reach out to you?
So Instagram is at AE86 Preservation Society. Gmail is AE86PS@gmail.com. YouTube, just search AE86 Preservation Society. Let's see. Website, AE86PS.com and AE86PreservationSociety.com. They both will take you to the same spot. So yeah, and Facebook is also there too. So AE86 Preservation Society.
Cool.
That's where you can find me.
Awesome, man. Yeah, Mo, thank you so much again for, doing what you do. Thank you for taking this on short notice, man. I am excited as heck to touch one of your kits in person.
I'm excited for it to happen. Like I said, I dream to make the trek out to Mecca of Corollas, which is California, and visit the shop and meet all these cool people that I've met over Instagram. There's such a high population of California folks out there. Yeah, can't wait. One of these days.
That's it for this week's episode. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, as reviews really help support us. You can do it straight from your desktop. Don't even need an Apple device. This is Autohouse Z. Thanks for all the support, you guys.